After about 6 months of being here in La Paz, I decided that permanent vacation was not for me. I couldn't live at the beach every day. So I looked into getting out of the house and finding something to do. And I decided that I wanted to go back to work. So I took my real estate license and became a licensed realtor here in La Paz.
Hey, Gen Max, you just met Lyanne, and she is a friend of mine here in La Paz, and we are going to be hearing from her about her journey from retirement back into working life, specifically as a realtor, because that is something that a number of people choose to do once they get here. Either they're moving down when they're younger before retirement and choose to go into real estate, or retire and then decide to come out of retirement. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll also be showing you her home. It's a gorgeous home here in La Paz, and talking about whether she speaks Spanish and safety and all the things we normally chat about. But let's go back to where I love to start, which is the beginning of the story, right before these guys moved to La Paz.
So I'm originally from Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, which is the easternmost part of North America. It's where the Titanic sank. So I'm from cold country. My husband and I moved to Toronto in 1998 for work. And we raised a family there. We had a beautiful lifestyle. About 2 years before we moved to La Paz, I had a major accident falling on ice. And I injured my shoulder. I tore my rotator cuff. I tore my ACL, my MCL, my LCL. I tore a hip labrum. I tore a glute muscle. I broke a wrist. Popped some ribs, cracked a couple of ribs. And my husband got home from work that day, and I said, not another winter in Canada. I am done. So he agreed with me, and we took about 2 years to get everything in place to leave. I did have to spend one more winter in Canada. And in December of 2019, we packed up and we moved to La Paz. We chose La Paz because although we had wintered several years on Isla Mujeres, on the Caribbean side of the country, we realized that healthcare would not be as convenient or as in-depth as we would need as we get older. So we started to look at other areas of Mexico. La Paz kept coming up at the top of my list every time, no matter which way I input it into spreadsheets. So we sold our house in Canada. We sold our vehicles in Canada. We sold just about everything in Canada, and we moved down. And 3 days after we got here, we actually signed a contract to build a house here in Centenario. Crazy people.
So as you know, Kat and I bought very quickly from the listing agent for this house was Jim. That was the agent who was representing us when we bought a house in a weekend of visiting La Paz. So let's hear, because this house wasn't quite here yet. Jim was the developer and listing agent. So let's hear about the process, because I'm also hearing a timeline that sounds very much like COVID.
So we had reached out to a realtor before we came down here, Kristen, who was with Keller Williams at the time. She has gone back to the US. She went back during COVID. She showed us around. She had sent us this listing before we got here because I told her my dream was a much smaller home than we had in Canada, but I wanted a really nice, great room, open concept, kitchen, living, dining room, and then a master suite basically on either end of the house. And she showed us this online, just the drawings and the renderings. And I said to my husband, I said, oh, that could be the house. We got down here, we looked at a lot of things, nothing suited us at all. So we did come out, there was a model home next door of this model, and we put an offer on it actually, and it had just gone pending that morning. Really glad it did, because we decided to build in the lot in front of the model home, so we don't have a house in front of us. And we were able to do all of our own upgrades and changes and things that made the house our house rather than buying a model house that was designed for someone else. So we felt really lucky with that. Met with the builder, Carlos of Baja Custom Homes, and we sat and went through every change we wanted. We wanted the cabinets to go to the ceiling. We wanted about 20 extra outlets in the house. We wanted a backsplash. We wanted different marble and flooring and sinks and taps and everything different than what was included with the house. The appliances we upgraded. So when the house was built, we felt like this was our house and we absolutely loved it. The process, we were lucky that we were here in town. We stayed in town while the house was being built. We came out every week, cooler full of pop, electrolyte drinks, cold water, met with the construction crew, got to know them quite well. When we had our roof pouring, we did a big carne asada party with them, brought a cake. It was a really nice time, actually. We spent a whole afternoon with the crew. Fridays, we would come out. We would bring beer at the end of the day. So we knew that our house was getting a little bit of extra care. And the house would have been on time, except for COVID. So when COVID hit, the government shut down building for 3 months. So we were here in La Paz for 3 months longer than we wanted to be renting, and the house just sitting here.
I'm so sorry for interrupting your video, but I wanted to present you with an opportunity that is rather new, and that is personalized tours with me, VIP tours with me. We spend a day together in La Paz. So if you're planning a trip to La Paz and you want to know the ins and outs, you want to take a tour without a real estate agent, you just want to spend time with me, we can make that happen. Just go to almostretiredinmexico.com/tours. That link will be down below. And here's what the first folks who took this tour have to say about it.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time with him.
It was well organized, but it was casual and comfortable.
I highly recommend contacting Brighton.
Now, if you're already planning your trip, be sure to go down there right now and click that link and get signed up. And if you're not yet planning a tour, just kind of file that away in the back of your mind and head back to the video now.
But as soon as the government lifted the ban or the pause, Carlos had 2 crews out here until the house was done. So instead of moving in July, we were able to move in October, and the house was completely done, and we were so thrilled with it. We just love our house.
So I am going to give you a more in-depth tour of the house, but let's talk about real estate, being a real estate agent first.
Early years in Canada, I did not work after university. My husband worked and traveled extensively. He was not home a lot, and when he was, we just spent our time as a family. Our son, played AAA hockey from a very young age. We traveled a lot, so someone needed to be available to take him to practice, to his skating instruction, to his shooting instruction, to his dryland, to his track and field running, you name it. His games, we were all over Ontario, Quebec, New York, Illinois. So it wasn't really feasible for me to be working a full-time job, especially something like real estate, which was nights and weekends and 12 or 24 hours a day. So I stayed at home until he got into high school, and then I went back into my field of marketing and communications. I was a special projects manager for a major national corporation, and worked pretty long hours, but I really enjoyed it. It was a very, very fulfilling job, and I worked until we moved to Mexico. Randall retired about a year before we moved to Mexico, and he's still happily retired. I, on the other hand, needed something more than vacation mode. We have great friends here, and it's wonderful. Everyone gets together on a regular basis. They're going to the beaches. They're doing little side trips, road trips, dinner parties, you name it. And I do enjoy all of that, obviously, but it couldn't be all I did. At my age, I felt I was too young to be a lady of leisure. So I spoke to, who is now a colleague of mine, Heather, who worked for Diamante Realtors, and she suggested that I get into real estate. So we talked and discussed, and then she introduced me to my broker, Brian. And it felt like something that I might really like to do here, that I thought I could do quite well with. I love people. I like helping people. I like meeting new people. So I went and did my course. I wrote my exam. I passed, got my license. So I am a licensed realtor. A lot of people don't realize that certain states in Mexico do require real estate agents to be licensed and to continue with their education ongoing wise. La Paz is one of those. So I started selling real estate here early 2021 and quickly realized I was pretty good at it. I'm really glad I decided to take that route.
And of course, Lyanne's contact information will be down below if you'd like to work with her to find your next place or to sell your current place and move up to something different. But I do want to find out kind of what makes a good realtor, a good real estate agent down in Mexico.
Well, first of all, I think beyond the obvious of knowing the process and the legalities and knowing your area. And I actually sell from La Paz all the way down to Los Cabos. I think you have to have a lot of empathy and a lot of patience, and you have to be reassuring because this is a big, big move for a lot of people. And there's a lot of negativity out there on different websites about how dangerous it is to buy property and land in Mexico. And I'm sure in a lot of places in Mexico, that's true. I have heard horror stories in other places of people putting their whole life savings into a development that never gets built. I think here as well, you need to have some common sense. You need to have some research skills because, for example, I won't sell a pre-construction project to a client unless I know that builder, I know the developer, I know the listing agents, I know that every step that has taken is going to allow that house or condo or development to be finished and delivered on time, or at least on Mexico time, and that you're getting what you've paid for. And also, you have to be patient enough to not only follow through the entire sale with your client, but years after. I have clients 2-3 years later after moving into a condo or a house that's having issues, or they have questions, or they're having a problem with something that may not even do with their house, like their taxes, or trying to get bills in their names, or trying to find contractors, things like that. It's not finished with the sale. So if you're not prepared to be in it for the long run and to think of your clients as really something that continues throughout your relationship, you're probably not going to be as successful as someone who's willing to take those extra steps.
So I want to hear how much time Lyanne is putting into this because, I'm almost retired. I like to be almost retired, spending less than 40 hours a week working. But let's hear what it's like to be a successful real estate agent.
So that is a really good point because I do have a lot of clients who move down here and go, oh, I should get into real estate. I could work, a few hours a week. Would I be, would I be good at it? And I'm like, no, probably not. I put 60 to 80 hours a week into my business. I don't have set hours. I'm lucky that some days I have nothing to do, but then I make something to do. So I'll do my little marketing programs. I'll check my CRM, update everything like that. But I have clients that will call me at 9 o'clock at night and need to talk to you right now, or I'll have offers that are expiring at midnight. So we're doing last minute little tweaks to the contract to get that done. I work Saturdays and Sundays. Those are my busiest days. I know a lot of Mexican agents don't like to work Sundays, but I do. And back home, traditionally, those are your busiest days as a real estate agent. My summers, my first couple of summers, were pretty slow, so I was able to take vacation during the summers. But I found now, as I've established myself, my summers are even busy here. I am getting better at setting boundaries with my time. So I am trying to carve out one day a week that it's just family time. And I do try to take several shorter trips during the year, usually the summer, because it is a bit slower. But it's not easy money. You can't just come down and hand out business cards and expect that you're going to be successful. And by successful, I'm talking maybe 20 to 30 sales a year. It takes time and it takes effort and it takes a lot of networking and it takes a lot of know-how and knowledge to get to that point and to be successful.
So yeah, those hours are not in my definition of what I'm looking to do. So maybe that is something you're looking to do. But let's switch gears now and talk about this house because it is a gorgeous house here. This is my first time being in Lyanne's house. So let's get a tour.
So, welcome to Casa Pura Vida. It is a Baja custom home built in the little community of Vista Colinas in Centenario. When we moved, I told my husband I did not want stairs and I did not want more bathrooms than there were people in the house. Our last house was 4,500 square feet and it had 4.5 bathrooms and there were 2 of us living in there. So I just did not want to revisit that. I wanted to simplify things. I wanted to be able to lock the house up and leave when we wanted. I wanted it to be something that we could keep clean and manage ourselves. So this was the house we found. It's just under 1,500 square feet. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, with an open concept great room and a massive outdoor living space. We haven't even really done anything with our rooftop terrace because we have so much living space on the main level. So when you first come in to the house, you walk right into our great room, which is a dining area, a living area, and a kitchen. We did a lot of custom work and upgrades with our tiles, our countertops, a lot of built-ins. The built-in right behind me here, for example, was done. We put some extra closets in that weren't in here. A lot of the lighting was upgraded. We upgraded our appliances. We upgraded our terrace to bring it out 6 feet. So it runs the entire length of the house and goes out about 25 feet. Almost doubles our living space. We added a pool. We added a bodega. Yeah, so we added a lot that was not included with the house. And we're just super happy with it. It's perfect for us. And actually, it was perfect for us. But now our son is living with us for a little while anyway. Wish I had built a 3rd bedroom for now, but it's working out okay.
Okay, so thanks for the tour. So now let's get into switching gears again. Let's ask Lyanne if she speaks Spanish.
Sí hablo español. Somewhat. I'm probably at about a 2nd grade level. I can understand and read much more than I can speak. And that's because I'm actually, believe it or not, a very shy person. And I tongue tie when I'm speaking English, and you've probably seen that a couple of times in this video. So when I get to Espanol, I really tongue tie. But I do find myself getting better. I can actually understand people on the telephone now, which a year ago I could not do. It would be like, lo siento, no entiendo, and hang up. But now I can muddle through a conversation. I can have Telmex come over and fix my internet, for example. So I do take classes online. I do have a Spanish teacher here that I connect with. And I do my Duolingo every day, which people laugh at. But you know what? It does keep you moving along and it gives you something. Oh, I have to do my 15 minutes of Duolingo today. And then just living in this neighborhood, it's a very mixed neighborhood. We have Americans, Canadians, and local people in our neighborhood. So I do have people to talk to every day. And then also with work, I have Spanish clients, both buyers and sellers. I'm used to reading the contracts in Spanish. I have a lot of colleagues that are Spanish. So just forcing me to speak, which is a good thing. And I realized early on that it doesn't matter if I'm speaking perfect grammar, if I'm not conjugating my verbs properly. People know what I'm trying to say, and they appreciate that you're just trying. And I find the people here are so warm, so welcoming, so helpful. They will correct you, but they correct you in such a nice way that you don't feel like an idiot. So yes, I think it's really important to tell everybody that you really should try to learn Spanish, even if it's just basic Spanish. It goes a long way in this community.
Yeah, y'all know I used to poo-poo Duolingo, and it's still kind of questionable exactly how useful it is, but it is something where you do it every day, and it does keep you doing it. The key thing, I think, with if you're using Duolingo is that you also must be doing something else. It is not the only way to learn Spanish. It's a great way to kind of learn some vocabulary and keep your brain in the mix, but you also need another system. But let's switch gears again and talk about safety.
I feel very safe here. And as a realtor, I travel by myself from La Paz all the way down to Cabo and back several times a month. and all the communities in between, and have never felt unsafe. In fact, my vehicle broke down on the way to Cabo last summer on the side of the road, and I was by myself, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And literally within 5 minutes, 6 vehicles had stopped to ask if I needed help. I had a drive to the airport because I was on my way to catch a plane. I had someone else bring my car to Cabo to a shop, wrote down the information as to where they're going to bring it. Yes, I know I gave a stranger my car, but I got my car back and it was fixed and I got to drive to the airport. I feel very safe here. This little community, when I first moved, I thought, okay, I'm going to need a big gate. I'm going to need bars on my windows. I don't have any of that. I do have 3 dogs, but I feel so safe here. And I felt safe everywhere we've been in Mexico, really. I think if you're not out buying or selling drugs or in the bars at 2, 3 in the morning, there's really no danger for you to get into. If you're staying in your lane and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to be safe and secure where you are.
I completely agree. It feels very safe down here in La Paz. There are parts of Mexico that are not safe. There'll be a link to a video to kind of help you maybe share with friends about why certain parts of Mexico are so safe and why certain parts of Mexico aren't so safe. Before we wrap up this video, let's get Lyanne's tip, her number 1 tip for folks just like you.
My number 1 tip on moving to Mexico is to leave your baggage at home and to bring your patience with you. Pack extra because you're going to need it. My husband is the least patient person I know in the world. It's never been a strong suit. And when we moved down, I told him, this is something you are going to need to work on. And he has. Mexico does not move quickly. It does not do things the way you are used to having things done. And to act impatient or to act like you need something done now and need it done this way, you are going to get a lot of yeah, and then nothing will get done. So be kind, be friendly. You can ask for what you want, but just temper your expectations. Know things are going to get done. They may not get done on the time frame that you want them or the way that you expect to see them done, but it will get done. And in the end, you will be happy. And remember too, the big one, mañana does not always mean tomorrow. It just means not today. However, I have found in La Paz, when people say they're going to be here, 9 times out of 10, they're here when they say they're going to be here, which is not something I've seen in other areas of Mexico that we've spent considerable time. But patience, kindness, respect, that is something that you must bring and then you must live with.
That is a wonderful tip. If you don't have patience, you won't get very far in Mexico. You will get frustrated. And here's another one is to understand that yes does not necessarily mean yes. Mm-hmm. Yes sometimes means no. And if you find that to be frustrating and think that it's rude, then you're really going to have to get over that, because the way it works in Mexico, it's more polite to say yes and mean no than it is to tell you the truth. So it's just a cultural thing, and it's not that one is right or one is wrong. It's just different, and it is something that a lot of people really struggle with. But I've got more videos from La Paz up here, and also videos from other folks who are making the dream or making it happen, living the dream down in Mexico. And from La Paz, wish you were here. Hasta luego.